Salute. The streets are buzzing. New York Knicks put the beat down in Denver, winning by 39 as the Knicks are clicking at the right time. Let's break it down, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to the recap as we prepare, man, for the LA back-to-backs. New York Knicks, man, are rolling, winning by 39 to start this West Coast trip. OG Anunoby, right, franchise record, putting up a crazy stat line. Jalen Brunson, 15 dimes again, 44 assists as a team, and OG Anunoby, man, looking like prime Grant Hill out here. Vince Carter, people are talking about. OG, man, what a performance. He's going to get a game ball. And Karl Anthony Towns continues his fine play as a team, man. Chemistry is all the way up in this one. One of the most impressive wins I've seen, man, in the Leon Rose era, right? Going back 6-7 years. It was a very fine win, man. The Knicks have had the edge over the Denver Nuggets for a while now, man. I think 7-1 we go back. But over the last 60 days, man, in the NBA, the New York Knicks are second in net rating in the league over the last 60 days. We'll bring up all the stats, man, but the facts are the New York Knicks are rolling and feeling really good about this squad right now, man. The vibes are up and the tenacity is there. I think the shift has been the defense. You know, when we were back in those struggles earlier, man, going some weeks back, it does seem a while ago now, but after the All-Star break, the Knicks came out a little slow. Obviously, it had the new piece, Jose Alvarado. He's been a massive impact, I think, on the chemistry, the locker room, and all of that. But Mitchell Robinson really turned up last night too. Ernest, Cameron, Delmar, great to see you guys come through the building. Yeah, Brunson, big story. We're going to go through the list and give out all the flowers, but I definitely got to start with the coach. I think the coaching staff as a whole, man, Brendan O'Connor, Chris Gent, Mike Brown, obviously Rick Brunson, and all the other assistant coaches, man, just done a phenomenal job getting guys more comfortable, getting guys in their spots. They've simplified the defense. And we're going to talk about in the spotlight as well. There has been some kind of unsung heroes, I think, give the Knicks a boost. And I think Mohamed Diawara's really good minutes, you know, very underrated. The sample is underrated. Obviously, Knicks fans are so high on Diawara as a whole. He ain't underrated, but just in terms of, you know, the amount of minutes and Landry and, of course, Jose Alvarado, I think defensively they've all helped in a massive way, you know, offensively too. But I think our biggest issue, guys, as you know, we went back a few weeks ago, was the defense. But it's night and day, man. As the Knicks run amok in garbage time, Pacome Dardier even got in on the act, man. Tyler Kolek with the second most assists in the least amount of minutes in NBA history, man. He had 8 dimes in 13 minutes for the second most assists in the least amount of minutes. It was just an unbelievable performance, man. And the New York Knicks, man, together, they're playing more connected. And I think Mike Brown, the coaching staff, but also the captain, I think it definitely started with those guys first and foremost. Brunson's recognizing now that, you know, we're even more dangerous when Cat is, you know, more engaged. Man, Mitchell Robinson was a one-man wrecking crew, and shout out to Brunson for his two-man game with Mitchell Robinson last night, guys. I think that really set the tone early. And Mitchell Robinson, man, our best rim threat vertically, and finding him on those lobs, finding him on the two-man game was key. Because, look, the Joker don't really want to defend too much, and that's why it's such a good matchup for the Knicks with our two big men. Mitch and Cat are top 10 in the NBA in rebounds, both of them. So top 10 in the league. We got two guys at the center spot that are top 10 in the rebounding. The Joker, man, he doesn't want to hang with them for 48 minutes, right? at the rim. And so we bring up the highlights of what Mitchie does best, man. And he was dominant early, man. You see Murray and Braun really looking around to see who's going to find Mitch and man up. But no one, no one was an answer and a match for Mitchie last night, man. He was a men among boys. But the offensive rebounding, man, continues to be a huge threat. But he was in the right spots, dunker spot, player movement, ball movement to match. And the cutting and the energy is big time. And I really think the depth, this is the deepest team, guys, that I've seen in my lifetime, man. I think this is deeper than the 99, 97, 94 teams. And it simply is the most talented team in terms of 1 through 15. And now you say on paper, definitely, they've got to live up to those expectations. But right now they are, fam. They are living up to these expectations of the most talented and deepest squad. Everyone knows their role right now. And I think bringing in another veteran like Jose Alvarado, Landry Shamet, really sacrificing and playing, team first ball with these other guys, man. Finding OG Anunoby. He is so dangerous when he is the focal point too. And OG looks to be a guy who, is more fresh. Maybe the All-Star break did him the world of good. But OG's in NBA Finals mode, man. I tweeted that out last night because I think OG, you just know when he's at his best. When he's got those legs and he's spry, and when he's fully engaged offensively, he takes it up a notch, man. Defensively, best believe that. I think the close loss to OKC, two guys, gave the Knicks a lot of confidence, as I spoke about very recently. People were down, we lost that game and we got, stooged by the referees. And, we definitely felt like we were the better team and we should have won that game. But I think we took a lot of confidence from that OKC game. And you saw it last night, man. First game on the road, they said another contender out west, we're dominating. And from start to finish, after a little slow start, the Knicks started to roll with the Brunson Mitchie two-man game. But Karl Anthony Towns, big shout out to his engagement recently on the defensive side. Offensively, it's helped that he's getting the ball in better spots too, with the trail three here from JB, spacing the floor out. And to think we're still going to be able to add a Deuce McBride to this team right now, man. It's scary. It's scary hours right now. Even the bench, garbage time mob, looked great last night. Dominant. Pacome Dardier, Sohan got in on the act. Huck Porty, 1 through 15, guys. What do you feel? Are we the deepest squad that you have seen in your lifetime? Delmar says the coach is letting players have free reign in their play while staying connected. I like it. I like it. Like you said, staying connected is key to a championship team. Because look, Denver have been there. You see the synergy with the Joker and Murray. Prayers up and speedy recovery for Jamal Murray, who did go out with the ankle. Looked to be a bad one, man. Rolled the ankle. But look, courtesy of Andy Bailey tweeted this out. Over the last 60 days in the league, the New York Knicks have a defensive rating of 107 and an offensive rating of 116, net rating 9.1 plus, right? Right behind the Charlotte Hornets over the last 60 days, which is a large sample, man. It's about a quarter of the season. So the Knicks are the second hottest team outside of the Charlotte Hornets. That's going to be a fun game, when we do face the Hornets again. I think they're going to get into the 7 spot, possibly even the 6 spot, right? You got the Spurs, Detroit right there ahead of OKC as well. So we're clicking at the right time, right? Right time. And the players, obviously, things are coming together with the coach simplifying things. And we're getting a great boost from some unlikely sources, fam. Jose coming in at the trade deadline And obviously, Muhammad Diawara taking the world by storm right now is Mo Diawara. And just a phenomenal effort to start this West Coast trip. And Tyler Kolek, we're looking at his 8 assists in just 13 minutes. And we'll take a look at the 44 assists as a whole. Johnny Chiba, great to see you. Ball movement to OG. My teammates were finding me. Uh, that's when we're even more dangerous, less predictable, I would say. And that's what fans have been saying for a while, you know. The respect, the adoration of Jalen Brunson and his talents has been there from the get-go. But some fans have gotten frustrated at times, impatient, you know, wanting to see some more ball movement and to see this team be more unselfish. And right now, credit to Brunson and the coach for adjusting, you know. And look, I think where our defensive rating is right now, it's better in the last, you know, sort of quarter of the season, the last 20 games or so. It's better than any point under Tom Thibodeau, our defensive rating in the 5 years under Thibodeau. Now, obviously, it's the last 20 games or so, not as a full season under Tibbs, but just in this stretch alone, our defensive rating is better than any season under Thibodeau, right? So, got to give the coach an enormous amount of props. Together with OG last night, man, for the first time, man, I'm giving Coach Brown one of the game balls with OG Anunoby also getting Defensive Player of the Game. What I like most about OG, man, is when he's using his size, physicality, and getting to the rack, right? Notice recently, guys, the trend, we are getting teams into foul trouble. We ain't settling for just jump shots. It's about getting the other team in foul trouble, right? And having them worry, right? Trying to defend all 5 of our guys, especially when we're 5 out, right? The other night, we all know, man, SGA should have had his 3rd foul in the first quarter. Last night, we're in the bonus, man, with like 7 minutes to go in, I think in the first or 2nd quarter, right? In the bonus with 7 minutes to go. And that's what happens when you get the right amount of ball movement, right? Utilizing your weapons. But look, I think it is a combination of things, right? Peaking it at the right time. How many times have I said, and other Knicks fans have said, guys, our team is full of playoff risers, right? They ain't trying to turn on to the 6th gear in December or November, fam, or January, right? When March hits, that's when these guys are gonna, ramp up their effort. And that's what we're seeing, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Because 4 rounds in the playoffs, this team has got visions, aspirations of getting to the NBA Finals. And that's 4 rounds, right? If you peak too soon, you use up a lot of energy, injuries can happen, and all of that. So that's why I ain't sweating too much over, the occasional bad game in the regular season. That does not define what this team is all about. This team was constructed to be the last team standing, come June, fam. And right now, I think we should be favorites to get out of the East. We'll talk about Jason Tatum. We'll talk about the bookies and the betting outlets right now. Some of them have the Knicks as the 4th favorite to get out of the East, still behind Cleveland, Detroit, and Boston, right? Which is absolute blasphemy, right? But the Spurs handled them, went toe-to-toe with OKC. We'll see them again. And I can't wait for that matchup, fam, in OKC. Cannot wait. But look at this squad right here, man. This is deep. No Deuce McBride, obviously, in this picture. And I think Brunson's in there somewhere. But outside of those two, that's 15 guys right here. Plus a couple of nice two-way guys. The deepest team, man, in my lifetime. And we have to get to the finals, right? And I think we should be favorites to get out of the East with the contributions we're getting. You only got to look at the stats, man. Offensive rating, defensive rating. Delmar says, OG loves playing in Denver every time. Yeah, he's a big game guy, man. I think these guys really get up. for these games. Denver don't particularly defend very well in terms of a 5-out look. But I do think Denver match up well against some teams out west. I still think Denver are going to give OKC all they can handle. The Joker is definitely going to want revenge, man, on Caruso for guarding him up physically. Johnny Chiba says, Cat finding his spots and his purpose. Stop forcing it. Read the D better and stop whining. Yeah, I think come playoff time, he's definitely listening to his teammates more, and I'm seeing a more disciplined Karl Anthony Towns. Less straight line drives, out of control, less turnovers. The Knicks only had 10 turnovers last night. We forced 15 from Denver, who rarely turn it over. And I shout out to Brunson for keeping his head up, keeping Mitchie engaged as well. Do you guys think we have another level? We can turn it up defensively too. I do. Because you bring in a Deuce McBride, right? Rival fans, discounting the fact that Deuce ain't even playing. Right? That's how, lack of attention to detail some of these guys are, man. I think on any night, Deuce McBride's our third best player at times, right, in the season, right? He was one of the leaders in the league in true shooting percentage and one of our best pull-up threats. Another two-way demon that we're going to get back on this team. And I think we're going to crank it up a notch. Mike Brown sprinkled in a couple of new defensive sets in terms of traps, blitz, and finding the passing lanes, and more connectivity is what we're seeing on defense too. Less overhelping, I think, has been the major key. What a dime that one was to Jeremy Sohan from TKO, right? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The last 5 games holding the Nuggets to 103, Thunder to 103, Raptors 95, Spurs 89, the Bucks 98. The best defense in the league since the trade deadline. Right, unbelievable. We are really realizing our true potential on this team since it was constructed. Shout out to Mikal Bridges as well for stepping up his physicality, especially on defense. He's been phenomenal. OG, 34.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 6 3-pointers made, man. The first player in franchise history to reach these numbers in a single game, man. Don't forget, earlier in the season, OG Anunoby was in the All-Star race, right? He fell off, obviously, injuries and the grind of the 82 regular season. But OG Anunoby is come to ball out, right? Salute to OG, man. Gets the game ball, defensive player of the game, and the first player in Knicks franchise history with those numbers. So we saw Pacome Dardier show out in his little cameo as well. I'm still very high on Pacome Dardier in his, fit in the league, right? He's a very fluid athlete, beautiful shooting stroke, man. One of the most prettiest strokes I've seen with Dardier. He just has to obviously, continue his burn in the G League, continue his dribble, shot creation skill set, and continue to develop his craft. But if the Knicks can hold on to him on the rookie contract, next year he might be a factor, fam, to continue to allow this team to get through the regular season with our depth, right? And get to the finish line with plenty of, juice still left in the tank. That's what it's all about, guys. It's about getting to the finish line with enough left in the tank, right? Where some of these teams might gas out. Now, we'll talk about Boston's performance. There's some action happening right now, too. The Timberwolves got blown out by the Magic. The Pistons play the Nets later today. And the Sixers are leading the Hawks in the second quarter right now. But Jason Tatum made his debut last night, 120 to 100, defeating the Dallas Mavericks, right? He looked a little rusty, but I think he is going to obviously start to get into rhythm. And I think it might be Knicks, Boston Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals, man. The Cavaliers might end up facing the Pistons in the second round, in which case I would favor the Cavaliers in that matchup. Danny Landers in the house, salute. Chris Gotti. Knicks only lost once to Denver in the Brunson era. Facts. I'm liking that because we match up well against them, but we should match up well against anyone. And I think we're finally, with some great coaching, we're finally starting to realize this team's full potential, right? I've always kind of felt we're still stuck in sometimes third gear, sometimes fourth gear, and we just want to see this team out on the freeway, right? Pedal to the metal, right? Brunson, Cat, the weapons of OG, Macau, Bridges, great point guard depth now. The ball is moving around, and some good defensive tools with Shamet Diawara, Jose Alvarado to help back up the wing stop, fam. I said it at the trade deadline, man. Leon Rose made a great trade deadline, and obviously we're not seeing too much from Sohan. Clarkson and Yabu haven't had the desired impact from the off season, but you could argue the Landry thing factors into the off season because he stuck around and the Knicks made sure they brought him back. That was an A++ home run move, man. Imagine our life without Landry Shamet this season. So that has to factor into a great off-season move, and obviously drafting the man of the hour, Muhammad Diawara, taking the world by storm right now. Right, he should be all rookie second team. Right, what a story that would be, man, for the New York Knicks and for him and his family. Drafted 51st overall. If he was to make the second all rookie team. And of course, you put a guy like Jose Alvarado, man, on a contender, and he was just born to be in this situation, man. Kind of feel for him being out in New Orleans for all this time, where he obviously made a name for himself. But here we see a dirty play where Cat had to deal with that and came back strong, made a huge impact. But I think that was what Spencer Jones, that one. That was a tough play where Cat dealt with that, man. And we saw it, man. Man, ain't no room for that. But shout out to Cat for getting into that and coming back strong. OG, man, with the highlight of the night, man. Double pump, reverse jam on the fast break. We'll bring up the stats because, man, fast break points has been a huge catalyst for our New York Knicks offense, man. Turning stops into easier buckets too. And with the added depth, we are playing faster. Look at Muhammad Diawara, his athleticism and strides getting out in the break. Delmar says, Brunson realized if his shots ain't working, passing becomes the way to win. I think everyone kind of reflecting and looking at themselves in the mirror too. I think everyone getting in better positions to receive the ball from Cat. I think the player movement has been good as well. The schedule. I think we are battle tested and battle hardened. We did face a grueling schedule earlier where we had 3 games in 4 nights, and that's kind of given us some conditioning, man. We went to the Mile High last night, man. We ran them out of their gym, man, in the Mile High at altitude. And we like the athletes, the ballers in the big showcase. And look, iron sharpens iron. The OKC game, I think, really got us going as well, as we see Muhammad Diawara, Air Mo, climb upstairs for this put back over the top of Bruce Brown, man. He made Bruce Brown look like a midget, as they don't teach size. And look, having these guys in the lineup has changed things a lot. You see the confidence when the bench comes in now. I think it's giving the starters even more confidence because it's like, let's go back 3 years ago, guys. Remember when Brunson had to sit and you'd be like, oh, this is a tricky part of the game. We're either down or we need to hold on to the lead. How long can we afford to keep Brunson on the bench? Now, I'm never thinking that. When Brunson's on the bench, I'm like, cool, get a rest. The other guys will hold it down. Sometimes we even extend the lead without Brunson. Now we can bring Brunson in later in the fourth quarter. One adjustment now is Mike Brown starting Brunson to start the fourth quarter, it does look like it's going to be a mainstay now. I think he's kind of decided for these big playoff games that are, going to be coming up soon. Start Brunson in the fourth, start the quarter strong, and then you can sit him at some point during the fourth quarter. You got Alvarado, Deuce going to come back as well. And you could obviously feature in Karl Anthony Towns, OG a lot more. The only question mark remains, okay, what are they going to do with the Josh Hart minutes? Matchup dependent. Hart continues to be a little up and down throughout the game, where the highs are amazing and the lows are, he gets benched and you bring in Shamet or Diawara quickly. But it all depended on the jump shot and the decision making of Josh Hart. Here's that lightning rod where, lightning can strike at any time. Josh Hart can win you the game with a couple of plays, and he can also hurt you as well. I call our bench terror squad. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you said it. We're super dangerous, especially with the speed, the size, physicality now off our bench. Alvarado, Shamet, Diawara, Michi, and then it's going to be Deuce as probably the 10th guy with Kolek and Sohan and Huck Porty, the 12th, 13th, 14th man. That's why I said how deep we are right now, fam. And I think we legit have the soldiers now to be the last team standing in terms of attrition, outlasting other teams as well. But it's all up to the coaches, man, to be pushing the right buttons, making the right adjustments. And we're seeing that right now. We really are. With Brunson, 15 assists, 2 games in a row. Ideally, we want to get Cat rolling even more from a 3-point perspective. And here are the ways we can. The trail 3, obviously Cat usually falls to the ground. He might be the last man back, and we have to utilize that. Pete says with some key injuries to the competition, we have a chance. Yeah, it looks like Orsar Thompson now is out. I think he hurt his ankle, and just no timetable for return yet. So, and then you see Murray last night get banged up too. I think we are basically, equipped to deal with some injuries, but right now, everyone's kind of knowing their role. They're buying in, including Cat at the top. Remember, he's been talking all season. This is my role. The offense is what it is, but he's stayed patient right now. And you just got to get the big man his touches. And I think we will see a better defensive version of Karl Anthony Towns if he's getting enough touches. Looks like they're figuring out how to navigate the wing on Cat, Hart running around like a headless chicken. They're figuring that out on an offensive perspective. But one thing I like probably the most about Mike Brown versus the Tibbs situation is, okay, he's staying, resolute with Hart starting. But what's happening in game is we're seeing far more adjustments, right? Even if it's at the point where, okay, Hart misses a couple shots, the other team makes a little bit of a run, man. Mike Brown timeout, or a substitution, Hart goes to the bench, insert Landry Shamet, or insert Mo Diawara, or Jose Alvarado and Mitchell Robinson. So he's making these adjustments on the right button, man, right time. So, fam. Johnny Chiba says Kolek Hive still alive. We should get 5 minutes a game with Kolek just to see if he can get stuff going if the starting 5 is stagnant. Yeah, I think we'll continue to do that with 2 point guards. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Kolek, but yeah, when we see Deuce back, I think Mike Brown does like to go the 2 point guard alignments. One thing I think we're going to see more of too and continue to see is, Bridges go to the bench and OG stays in. One of the 2 wing stops is always on the floor at any given time. But now we've got more wings, man. More help is on the way, fam. Just like Avengers Endgame, when Black Panther comes through the portal, right? when one of McCall or OG go to the bench, Mohamed Diawara tags in, or Landry Shamet comes and tags in, fam, and we continue. Right, so we are loaded at the wing spot. What do you guys think about Dink Pate and Pacome Dardier too? I think there's real buzz and optimism for next season for us to be even stronger, especially if we do make a major trade consolidation and some of these guys, maybe even Kevin McCullough, can take a chance next season as well. Yep, we never had a bench like this. I agree. Delmar says this depth is going to be great for OG and co when Brown decides to either go small or with two bigs on the court. Yeah, we're seeing shooting variants come back as well with OG's jump shot, especially with his reps on the ball. Buzzer beater for life. CT, we have 18 games left with only one back-to-back against the Lakers and Clippers coming up. I can see us going 15-3 with losses to one of the LA teams and Oklahoma and Boston. Yeah, the schedule looks good. We're clicking at the right time. I think we just need to be smart too, not worry about winning every single regular season game. Wouldn't mind, testing a couple of things still, maybe sitting one guy every particular game if they are dealing with some kind of ailment. And we've got the horses now to get through games. Like, let's say if OG's questionable, just sit him out a game. Macau, we know is not going to sit out a game, but Hart with the back, Hart's a little banged up right now. Let's take a look at more Dardier, or let's take a look at more Mo Diawara minutes starting. I still think there's a couple of things we could experiment with. Some might disagree. I know it's later in the season. I get it. I'm not saying like drastically experiment. I'm just saying, okay, if a guy's a little banged up, just sit him out and let's see what this thing looks like with the double big starting on one night. Or, like I said, OG sitting out a night and you start a Diawara at the 4 spot. But yeah, confidence is key. Dirty Dancer says coach Peter Patton fixing all the wing shots. If he can fix Jeremy Sohan's shot, man, he'll be a wizard because that jump shot looks ugly. But yeah, everyone's jumper form looks pretty right now. Even Hart with the wrist flick. Looks like a kind of a little slingshot shot, but I like Josh Hart's form. Pacome Dardier is still the prettiest form, in my opinion, man. At 6'9", high release, no one's blocking Pacome Dardier's jump form. OG is right up there in terms of the prettiest mechanics with the jumper as well, fam. This is pretty. I'm not the biggest fan of Macau Bridges' jumper form. Still has that little bit of a hitch. Maybe it's just the, ridiculously long arms that he has. But what about Cat's decision making recently, man? Fighting through, adversity and making the most out of his limited possessions. Our problem on the team is we don't know who the best player is on any given night. It could be any of them. Yeah, look, ideally you want 20 points from every single starter, Probably not Hart because, you don't want him taking too many shots. But outside of that, man, everyone else can give him 20. 15 more wins gives us 57. Yeah, I'm expecting between 53 and 55, fam. We might sit a couple guys towards the end, if the seedings have been finalized, and that'll be good if we can do the heavy lifting right now. But yeah, my preseason prediction, guys, was 56 before the season kicked off, so I'm pretty close. All things willing, going well. But yeah, this road trip could really set things up. Like Buzzer Beater says, man, if we only lose 5 more games or less, it'll be because we finish this West Coast trip strong, man. Let's beat LA, the Clippers, and then Utah, Indiana. That's going to be fun before we get back to Madison Square Garden, fam, against Steph Curry. And we owe Indiana some revenge coming up, right? Look, Indiana are heavily in the tank game right now. I'll be surprised if they try and pull something funny and get up for those games again. Uh, Delmar says next season will be interesting on the trade front during the off season. Yeah, you wonder about, like, with guys still capable of taking another leap, right? I still think with Deuce McBride, there's more to his game, Mitchell Robinson included. I think some key things are to retain Landry and Jose Alvarado. Like I said, not the biggest names, but they're really unsung heroes to this identity that we have now on the defensive front. Backing up Mikal Bridges and OG with some more defensive dogs is really key to our identity, fam. And they will win us playoff games, will Landry and Jose. Their ball pressure together with Deuce is legit. So you got to retain Landry, you got to retain Jose Alvarado, and obviously you got to include Mo Diawara. Eddie says Dardier will be a big surprise for us next year. Diawara has shown that killer instinct. Yep, I think we are protected somewhat with Diawara. I think we can go as high as the mid-level and match any offer from the outside teams when it comes to Mo Diawara. The Gilbert Arenas provision basically protects the New York Knicks from any team offering more than the mid-level. Now, it might still be a lot for the Knicks. We're probably not going to go that high because I don't think any team's going to offer Mo Diawara the full mid-level. But you'll probably get offers of around 10 million the way things are going. And if he balls out in the playoffs, maybe it does get up to the full mid-level. But yeah, I'm calm. I'm calm about the Mo Diawara situation. I think, he won't be really angling to get anywhere outside of New York because he's getting, major opportunities here. His agent, great spot for him to fall to. The whole Yabusele thing, Pacome Dardier, the French connection. Yeah, Eddie, I agree. Deuce McBride's jumper is beautiful. Beautiful form, super high release. Like Dirty says, the world's highest release. We'll bring up more of the Pacome Dardier jumper highlights, but that was a good sight to see. Pacome Dardier erupt, man. Limited opportunities. I feel great to see him, knock down 3 straight threes from downtown and pour it on in the Mile High. Delmar says Bridges seemed bored when not being used in the office alike when he was a number one option as a former Nets player in the offense. I think Mikal Bridges wants, to make an impact on both sides. I think we do need to use his offensive skill set a lot. Getting to that mid-range is where he's comfortable at, and the corner pull-up threes. I think he can turn it up a level. When it gets to the playoffs, we've seen it last season, especially against Boston. They're really starting to take these matchups personally now. And I think they're really flipped the switch now. I think they're really in playoff mode now because this is the way I see it. I think they don't want to wait until the playoffs to just try to flip the switch. They're looking at it like now, okay, maybe before the OKC game, they're like, the playoffs start kind of now. Let's really ramp it up. And we're seeing a different version of this Knicks intensity and guys being more connected over the last, few weeks, but especially over the last 3 games. And yeah, you're right, guys. We are more dangerous when we're looking for alley-oop Rob. We're looking for Cat on the block. Brunson is giving the ball up a lot more as well. This is a great read from Mo D to find Landry Shamet with the kick out, man. The rookie making plays. All rookie second team defense, in my opinion. Right. Little fake, some razzle dazzle. too, man. Look, the growth of Mo Diawara is going to be so fun to watch. Hopefully, we can get him on a long-term deal. Right. The only thing that I'm kind of worried about, and not really worried, but I'm curious to see what ends up happening with his extension. Is it a little 2-year deal where his agent and him are kind of high on their upside and getting a big bag? Or do the Knicks somehow find a way to secure Diawara on a 3 or 4 year deal, like a Deuce McBride type deal, Mitchell Robinson's first deal, um, which was absolutely criminal. It was like a 4 year, 16 million or something like that. I think Mo's going to get more than that, just based on um, his ceiling and position and how important that is in the current league, 3 and D. But yeah, man, I think the coaching staff, first and foremost, guys, they deserve up there with the highest amount of props, together with the rest of the staff, the leaders. It starts with Cat and Brunson, in my opinion. Um, but Jalen Brunson, 15 assists, 2 back-to-back games right now, and everyone else is really enjoying playing when the ball is moving like that too. Now, there's some narratives like, Brunson's not the same Brunson anymore. Well, you can't really win. He's either putting up 40 points and fans want him to move the rock more, or he puts up 15 assists and people are saying he's not the same Brunson anymore. At the end of the day, he just needs to do what the team requires, on any given matchup, any given night. Like, for example, if he's going up against Osar Thompson, in a really, really tough defensive wing, and they're really slowing him down, then that's when he needs to decide, okay, I need to be facilitator tonight. If they ain't guarding him that well, or he thinks his matchup is food, get aggressive still. That's just going to open it up for everyone else. Yeah, Bridges turns it up in the playoffs. We had Vucevic deal with a fractured ring finger now. So Boston's dealing with an issue with Vucevic, a role player for them now off the bench. But Osar Thompson is dealing with an injury, fam, an ankle. So that's going to be interesting to see how long he is out for. Deuce's situation, prognosis, we're still wait to see. It looks like Deuce is on track, according to Ian Begley, to make it for the playoffs in time. So yeah, I'm staying optimistic. Bridges turns it up in the playoffs, agree. Deuce has been shooting lately in the gym. Yeah, that's the latest update. No practice yet, no physical contact yet. But I think, why rush Deuce back? I mean, we've got enough soldiers now to get busy. Even if you need to play Kolek a little bit, or just play Alvarado some more minutes. Pete says, why is Mo only signed for this year? When we drafted Diawara, we were really stretched financially to stay under the second apron. So the Knicks just only offered Diawara a 1-year deal. I was a little surprised at the time. Obviously, they didn't expect, they're high on Diawara, but to be honest, I don't think they really would have expected him to force his way into the rotation so soon. So they probably were caught out off guard a little bit. But it's nothing to be overly concerned about. They'll find a way. It might just be a little bit more expensive. Me personally, I would have found a way to get Diawara on a 2-year deal. But, again, he was the 51st pick. I don't think they were expecting him to factor in so much. They've got Dardier, they've still got McCullough, they've got other guys that they were thinking about. And, signing 15 guys or 14 guys was the priority. And we had to wait until Malcolm Brogdon retired until we could finally fit Landry on the roster as well. But yeah, Brock Aller and the co will figure out a way. We could always, again, I think there'll be some kind of trade if we don't win the championship. Now, to what degree, what level of shakeup are we going to see if we don't win the finals? It could be a major shakeup, and that could free up some extra money to pay Diawara. Also, there could be a world where we make the finals, we lose in a heartbreaking situation where we're so close and they decide to run it all back. So that there might not be a major shakeup, it might be a smaller shakeup, but there is ways that they can free up some money and still below the second apron. Dardier, Kolek. I mean, there'll be some teams willing to take on some salary if we do have to pay Diawara some more money. But yeah, the rotation's going to be crowded next year, man, with no consolidation. Guys like Dardier might look for an opportunity elsewhere where they can get some minutes. Also, yeah, we have to wait and find out. Wayne says Diawara might not be good in the playoffs. Might be good in the playoffs. He reminds of those kids that watch the adults do everything they do to a T. Yeah, great point. I think pro ball overseas really helped Diawara out. So I think he's more mature based upon his years. I do think Diawara has been in that pro environment overseas. He's played international ball for France at the FIBA level, under 16s. He's played at the top level competitions, per age group for a long time now. Also, when you are a boy in a man's body, when you are 6'9", 6'10", it don't really matter how young you are in terms of you're looking at your opponent and you're like, I'm bigger than you, right? I don't care if you're older than me, I'm bigger than you. So that just gives you more confidence. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever, gone up against someone that you're bigger than, you get that little bit of extra confidence because you're like, I can move you, I can get to my spot. I can have an impact on this game. And why wouldn't you feel that way? Like I said, if you're 6'10" and 7'4" wingspan, you're going to be like, I'm going to run amok. Even if I ain't getting many touches, I'm going to make sure that I'm a menace out there on the floor. So I think Mo's got the right attitude. I think that's just the biggest thing for a young player. You just got to have the right attitude, not try to get too big ahead of yourself, not try to want too many touches straight away. I think Mo Diawara seems to be a very level-headed kind of guy, a kind of player, coming up with vets. And he probably wasn't expecting to, be a major rotation player on a championship level team in his rookie year. He's probably somewhat surprised. I think it's basically just come down to his shooting. Let's be real. If Mo couldn't knock down any of these open shots, it would have been no different to any of these other rookies we would have seen. He would have lost confidence. The coach would have benched him, and he'd probably be in the same situation as Pacome Dardier. Speak of the devil, Pacome Dardier. Like I said, that jumper looked pretty. Look how high that release is, man. It's like a Kevin Durant release. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with Diawara is he's playable defensively with his tools, but the jump shot is the reason he's been able to continue playing. Because like a lot of rookies, if they don't hit open shots, they're going to get benched because he simply can't afford to continue playing a liability. And that's where Peter Patton comes in, and the extra work that these guys have been putting in, especially in the gym. When Pacome pulled up for this first three, I thought, yeah, get it off, Pacome. He's going to be confident because he's been playing well in the G League recently. Has Dardier. I think Shamit needs to be resigned, Delmar, 100%. Dirty says passing Brunson early and taking over late has always been the way. Yeah, getting other guys going, like Cat, so that the defense has to be worried about them. And then Brunson, can get more space down the stretch. I also feel the key is the spacing, other guys starting to hit their shots, but also the minutes. Guys are just more fresh. I've always felt from day one the Mike Brown rotations haven't been perfect and a little funky sometimes, but the idea has always seemed more plausible, or the rationale has seemed more plausible than the Thibodeau rotations. Brunson's always seemed less gassed, I think, than when it comes. Just the minutes add up, over the season, as we're seeing a highlight from Dink Pate last night as well. Razzle dazzle, 6'8", playing well in the G League with the team as well. But a lot of things just add up, extra depth. Like if Thibodeau was coaching this team, I'd like to think that he would lessen the minutes a little bit, but we'll never know. But obviously with a deeper squad, Mike Brown inherited a very good situation. Like I said it from the day Mike Brown was hired. He's coming into the best situation he's ever been in his coaching career. Um, and it's got better as the season's progressed. Obviously with Landry, becoming big time, Jose Alvarado joining the team, Jeremy Sohan, Mo Diawara taking a step up as well. Brogdon retiring set the tone early. Yabusele trade, great trade deadline. I think the front office down to the coach and trickle down to the playing group that has got this team in this situation to where we're at. But am I surprised with our defense? I'm not really, because that has always been the potential. Now the scary thing is for other teams, you get Deuce McBride back, and I mean these defensive lineups, man, that we can put out, it's going to be scary for the rest of the league, right? And in terms of the defense that we can put out there and the different lineups, we could play an Alvarado, Deuce, OG, Diawara, Mitchell Robinson lineups. They're going to have teams in jail, right? How much do you think Cat playing better is just getting past the trade deadline? Big time. That is big time as well. Yep. Cat's a cerebral player, mindset, comfortability. And I think guys bonding together. They won the NBA Cup final together. I think vibes in the locker room have always been big for Cat, based on what I heard in Minnesota. And Cat has always wanted to feel like Cat always wants the team in the locker room to be tight and everyone to feel like a family. And that's from 1 to 15, certain guys. So they've kept a hold of Clarkson, I think, for one of those reasons. Clarkson could have asked for a buyout, and he's not going to get bought out now, because after March 1st, you can't join another playoff contender. So Clarkson's going to stay. He's going to stay for the ride. Pete says, I think we go over the second apron. Boston did for a couple years when they won. Yep. It's just a matter of when. If they don't want to do it this year, they might do it the following. Depends on what big move they might have lined up. And just how the playoffs go. We know the Giannis thing is out there. It's still lingering out there in space, and no one's really going to know what's going to happen until the playoffs finish. And a team might become more desperate. It might not be the New York Knicks. Maybe Orlando or Miami might say, you know what, we flamed out again. We're in a fork in the road. It's now or never. Or a young up-and-coming team like Atlanta or Charlotte might become, a bit more trigger happy, and might say, you know what, it's time for us to get after it. Detroit might flame out and say, you know what, it's time we get another vet to help us reach that next level too. One thing that's very underrated, that's needs to be factored in a lot, is internal growth. People always look at big shiny acquisitions, but like I said, I always felt this team had more gears. Sometimes they're stuck in third gear, fourth gear, and I think with a couple of role players taking a leap, the team as a whole internally can grow so much more than just bringing in another all-star. Because we already have enough. We have enough to win and get to the finals. We know that from last year. What the goal was, guys, was to improve our depth, because last year's bench wasn't really it. with Precious and with Campaign and some of the holes in the bench. We've addressed that. Starting five playing better than last season as well, and better coaching, more suitable coaching. That's got us to that next step as well. Opportunities in the East. Sometimes it's just a perfect storm. Things break and right. Let's face it, Tibbs would have had the starters playing most of the fourth yesterday. Yeah, part of me wanted Tibbs to get a deeper bench, but how many times do we say that about Tibbs? He could have played Precious more. He could have played Campaign a little more. He could have played Shamit and DeLon Wright. The problem is Tibbs will just always be Tibbs, and that's why we made a change. We saw it for 5 years, 6 years. One thing that I will give Tibbs the benefit of the doubt, though, is I will always admit this roster this year is far better than what Tibbs had outside of the Devo, Julius Randle squad that dealt with all those injuries. Agent Super Argo, OG, the British Bulldog. Yeah, he's a playoff riser. So is Mikal Bridges. So is Brunson. So is Cat. We don't get as far as we get without Cat. It was up and down, but the big performances against Detroit, couple of games, big game against Boston and Indiana, keeping us in it, man. We just got to get Cat going a little bit more, continue this ball movement with JB. And I think, man, we'll be right there. We'll be in position where we need to be. But yeah, this is so much more about, the unsung heroes as much as it is the stars and the coaching staff, right? In the spotlight. These three guys, I think, have changed the current trajectory of where we were, since coming, and their steady play from Diawara and Shamit, improving as the season's gone along. But then you add in a new guy, Jose Alvarado, who fits the culture. His play and skill set was exactly what the team needed, but he came in at the right time, right when this team just needed that boost defensively. Doesn't show up on the box score. Like I said, he picks up guys full court. That doesn't show up on the box score. He doesn't always finish the game with 6 steals. But if you watch the game, man, from start to finish, Jose Alvarado's defensive impact is obvious. Right? He really stops the other team from getting into their sets quicker because he's picking up full court. He has the energy, whereas some of the other guys never did that. Deuce did it occasionally, but I like Alvarado picking guys up full court. And Landry Shamet as well at times, bringing the ball up, fighting over the screens, the high pick and rolls as well. But shout out to guys figuring it out, man. Coach Brown, OG. Like I said earlier, it was on an all-star trajectory until the injuries happened and all of that. But we know Cat and JB got in to the all-star game. Now, if there's one more thing still left in terms of meat on the bone, it's the Cat 3-point shooting, right? That's where we become like invincible or unbeatable if Cat just catches fire and is just splashing like 4 threes in a quarter, right? Let's say everything else is clicking, we're playing with pace, pinging the ball around, and Cat catches fire and just knocks 4 threes down in a quarter. That's at the pinnacle of where I think we're as close to unbeatable as we're going to be. So that's what we need, man. That's what we need more of, bringing the guy out, opening up the driving lanes too. But Denver's not. Denver is a kind matchup, I think, for the New York Knicks. Eddie says Cat is all about playing smart and under control. The talent is there. Yeah, I think it's a big thing with the mindset, like Dirty Dancer said. The trade deadline passed, and he knows that he's got this big run. with the team. And these guys ain't even thinking about the summer or next season, right? You can't even afford to think about that because this team knows they can win a championship. Cat still might know about the Giannis thing, lingering in the summer, but I don't think he's thinking about that now because the trade deadline passed and, the front office believes that these guys can do it. Pete says Cat's fouling a lot less too. Yeah, I think good minutes allocation, staying out of foul trouble is helping. Mike Brown substitutions. Also, is anyone upset about the Mitch plan now? Not playing back to backs and all of that. A couple of streams, people were frustrated. Mitchie wasn't playing and whatever. Now, if you guys had the chance to rewind to the start of the season, would you change that? Or are you at peace now with the Mitchell Robinson, management plan, load management plan? I was cool with it from the get-go because I know it was all about the playoffs. And look, if we were struggling in the regular season to stay afloat, then obviously would have preferred Mitch's minutes to ramp up. But we never really got to the point where we're, at risk of losing a top 4 spot. So I'm down with the Mitch plan. Look how healthy he looks now. The first season, knock on wood, that he's getting through the regular season and ready for the playoffs healthy. Agent says GTA, Mo D, Shamit all bring energy off the bench. Yeah, you can throw in Tyler, you can throw in Ducey McBride, Mitchie, even Huck Porty coming in with that energy too when he needs. Right, that's why I'm so excited about this playoff run because this is the deepest team I've seen, man. There is absolutely no excuses. It's on the coach and the players to get us to the finals because Leon Rose has given this squad everything it needs right now. They just got to figure out the puzzle, and I think they have. Agent says Jose is always looking for Cat and Mitch. Yeah, he's an unselfish guy, Remember that sound bite when we first saw Alvarado come in against Boston? And he was asking JB, where do you like the ball? Just let me know what you need from me. And it's been the case since day one with Jose. He was made for this situation. In terms of culture, game, skill set, I mean, has there been a player that fits being a Knick more than Jose Alvarado? I mean, it's another Josh Hart pickup. Buzzer Beater says, CT, do we need to beat OKC at least once and Boston with Tatum before the playoffs? Great question, Buzzer. I think it's important. Yeah, it's important to continue to, get that monkey off the back, they say, or get more confidence. I don't think it's imperative, but I think it's important. It's important you can get another win against Boston with Tatum, and beat OKC at least once. But I think this team is clicking right now. They're so confident, and I don't think even if they lose a close one, I don't think it's going to hurt their confidence at all. I think it's just going to grow their confidence if they can get the win against these teams. But figuring out the matchups is key as well. Now, next comment, super chat from Jason Benjamin. Got the streets buzzing. Big up to Jason and appreciate you for the contribution. Hope all is well. I believe we have the best bench in the East now. I believe too. I believe 100%, like you said, we're the deepest team in the East. Now, Cleveland got quite deeper in terms of, Schroeder, Keon Ellis, James Harden, and they, moved on from DeAndre Hunter, who wasn't playing well. But I think the Knicks are still deeper. And I think guys, you just got to go as far as guys that might not even play. Kolek, Clarkson, compare our guys who aren't playing to the players on those other teams that aren't playing. That's how you know we're deeper. It's not just the players that are playing. You know what I'm saying? Like the Knicks are, based on what the front office is saying and said to reporters, they're comfortable with any one of the 15 guys playing playoff minutes. Now, they're all not going to play playoff minutes, but let's say there's an injury or foul trouble, they're comfortable putting Hakporti out there situationally. They're comfortable putting Sohan out there. They're comfortable playing Kolek if needed, you know? And so that just goes to speak how great of a situation we're in, you know? And guys that are playing, man, need to make the most of their minutes. I can't wait to see playoff Alvarado with Deuce McBride. Um, uh, Johnny Chiba says sometimes a team just got to go over the second apron if that's what it takes to win the chip. Yeah, you know, we've done the best we can to skirt that second apron. And look, if there is a world where we can stay, you know, under it, even for just a year, another year, it's because guys like Dardier or Diawara, Shamit, Alvarado are on cheap contracts. You know, I think the Michi thing is the biggest question mark over what's going to happen with the second apron, right? Dirty says, don't think Mitch will ever play back-to-backs rest of his career. Just not worth it. Yeah, and it's also tied into developing other guys. You know, that might be a plan for Hakporti, just to say, hey, you know what? Just to keep you developing, you know, we're going to give you back-to-back so that you can prepare, you know, and you can play. And that's a great plan. You know, Thibodeau, just those small details, Thibodeau never, um, you know, factored in because Tibbs was all about the now. That's the thing about Tibbs. He was so keen on getting every single win that even thinking about if he was the coach in 3 years' time, developing some other guys might help in the future. But Tibbs he didn't operate like that, you know? Think about if we gave Tyler Kolek and Dardier a little bit of minutes last season. I think that would be even better right now. Now, the fact that we're giving Diawara so many minutes, that's definitely going to make him better next season, as a great example. If you notice your opponent's reaction when the Knicks run their bench offense, says Delmar. Yep. Eddie says still almost the same record last year. Mitch playing every other game. I will take that. Yep. So another fan who's on board with the Mitch plan, and it just makes sense. He's such a unique player, and in terms of his, you know, um, robustness and durability, it just might never be there, and that's just something that's going to come with Mitch. But he's just so impactful in small minutes that he's a unicorn in his own way. Um, Wayne says, I think no back-to-backs lineups with the playoffs because you don't have back-to-backs in the playoffs. Yep, that's a great point too. Um, I think, look, the plan was always add to our depth. You know, in a perfect world, Yabor Sele, you know, was the player he was last season, and he would have eaten up a lot of those minutes anyway. You know, they found a way to give Hakporti some minutes too. Glenn Jones is in the house. Salute. Great to see you. Jason Benjamin with another super chat. Big up to Jason and everyone buzzing with us tonight. Blessings, health, happiness. Great to have you with us. Reacting to the big win, man. Records were broken last night in Denver. We've got a big one coming up tomorrow, back to back, LA, right? As the Knicks are clicking at the right time. Veteran coach that's been there, done that, man. Been to the finals, won championships as an assistant. I think anyone that was doubtful or skeptical about Mike Brown, even if you aren't fully in love with Mike Brown, I think you can see now that there was a plan, right? I don't think it's hard to see that there was a plan to get through this regular season with some, you know, pieces in place in terms of turning it up and making good adjustments. Jason says within the last week, we handled the Spurs, the Nuggets, and lost a tough one to OKC. Once Deuce returns, our bench gets even deeper. We will be a tough out for any team. I'm so high on Deuce McBride. I think from a chemistry standpoint, it's going to work well because Alvarado can continue to be a facilitator and Deuce McBride can continue to thrive off the ball, fam. So I think that's going to work really well together defensively, man. They're going to be a hell of a tandem in terms of bringing full court pressure, tenacity, and getting up all in people's grill and picking up those steals. But yeah, the ball moves really well with Alvarado, not always looking for his shot. Some people want him to be a little bit more aggressive, but he's trying to balance it out. You know, he's trying to bring a little bit of what Tyler Kolek brought to the table to a lesser extent, but he's also making sure that he's looking for a shot when he needs to and keeping the defense honest. I think the thing that I like about Alvarado, he brings a level of pace that Cam Payne brought when he had some success coming off the bench. Because look, it's a different game. When you're coming off the bench, you know, the game's established. The pace has been established. You need to bring a change and try to impact the game with pace. So I think Alvarado is doing that, and obviously doing that defensively, picking up full court. Like Jason says here, man, I've always said, man, teams are fascinated, or fans are fascinated about, you know, can the Knicks beat Detroit? Or can they beat Boston? Can they beat OKC in the playoffs, in the finals? I also look at it in reverse, right? How are these other teams going to beat the Knicks 4 out of 7, right? So it goes both ways, you know. Not saying it's more likely we're going to beat them, but it's going to be super difficult for these other teams to beat us 4 out of 7. You know what I'm saying? Because the Knicks they've got smarter coaching now, in my opinion, or more willing to make adjustments. They've got more depth. So if the game is going a certain way, they can, you know, muddy it up or they can change it up. So that's another tick. You know, they've got more weapons. The other thing is we're deeper as well. So, okay, if guys are struggling on a certain night or they're 50-50, they're a bit iffy dealing with an injury, okay, we can ramp up someone else's minutes. So when push comes to shove, we're going to be tougher to beat 4 out of 7. You know, I would love to have this Knicks team have a rematch against the Indiana Pacers that got to the finals. Right, we're probably not going to see that till next season, but I look forward to that, man. So I think we match up really well against those guys. Philip's in the house. Great to see you, Philip. Salute to you. Let's go against the Lake Show. Definitely, man. LeBron, Luca. Knicks are feeling good, feeling confident. That should be a fun one. Glenn Jones, my man. Respect. We have these big wins, but it's like I can't get too happy because we have had these big wins, roadblocks of the Celtics and the Pistons. I just think we won't get over them. I think, what do you think it's going to take? I think, what do you think is holding or standing in the way? I respect the Pistons and Celtics. You know, I think they are going to be really tough. I would love to have faced the Pistons one more time. I think the Cavs got better as well. Yeah, I think we know who we are. I feel more confident from just us internally, forgetting about the opponents. I feel like we know who we are now as a team. Mike Brown knows how to navigate in game. Okay, Hart's not shooting it well. Make a change. You know, Mitchell Robinson's minutes, getting Cat out of the game if he's spazzing out a little bit. Featuring him more if it's going well. I just feel more confident about us now than I did, you know, like 4 weeks ago. In terms of that, we have what it takes, especially to shut down Tatum and Brown. Now, I need to see more of Jason Tatum. I watched last night's game. Tatum looked rusty, you know, first game back. Showed flashes, knocking down some shots. You know, got blocked at the rim because he had no verticality. But I think, yeah, it's going to take him 10, 15 games. You know, that's why he decided to come back now. Buzzer says, CT, what do you see as Sohan's role going forward? Specialist, fam. I think he could be usable but he's going to be like the 11th guy, situational, but as a defensive specialist. So let's say 30 seconds to go in the quarter. Um, one of your guys might have 2 fouls. I think he'll throw Sohan out there, even in the biggest moment. I think for defense, I think he feels confident playing Sohan in spots, maybe not for extended stretches. We can't forget Diawara is still a rookie. He might have a couple of rough moments in a playoff game, or he might be in foul trouble, like I said. So I think Sohan's role is going to be situational, blowouts to end possessions, um, specialized matchups, maybe Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Cade Cunningham, James Harden, you know, just another weapon that I think if there's an adjustment required in a series, I'm not ready to rule out Sohan being activated. If I'm a coach, I'm telling everyone, man, stay ready. You know, stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. I might need you. Right. If you're a coach, you can't afford to be like some fans disregarding Sohan. That never makes sense to me, guys. If you've ever been in a role where you managed people, or you're coaching a team, whether it be junior level or senior level, you need to keep everybody engaged, right? You can't be like, yeah, to hell with you. You're like the way kind of Thibodeau did, communicate with some guys. Uh, you got to keep everyone engaged and keep them, communicate with them. Say, yeah, look, this is the role I got for you. But stay ready. You know what I'm saying? I might need you. All of that. Uh, Missing from the lead was Pac-Man's coming out. Right. His recent play in the G League translate to confidence, and his shot. 100%. I think Johnny, the organization's high on Dardier still. His shooting, form in practice, scrimmages, and the optics really project high um, to translate. So I think the organization's already communicated. Um, the fact is, he's a jumbo size wing. You always bet on that upside. He just needs to get a little bit tougher like Diawara, and I think he could make an impact. Um, so yeah, I read this one out for Jason. Appreciate the contributions again. Within the last week, beating, the confidence of beating San Antonio and Denver and taking OKC. Right. Once we get Deuce back, it'll be like, man, getting, our final Infinity Stone, in my opinion, man. Making a lot of Avengers analogies, but, I think as a team, we are, a team that can cover and play different ways. We can muddy it up defensively. I've always wanted us to be a better two-way team. The Carmelo and Stoudemire era, I never felt balanced. Yeah, we tried to get Tyson Chandler to fortify our defense, but there was just too many holes. With Stoudemire, Melo, it just never felt balanced from that standpoint. The Patrick Ewing, those teams with John Starks and that in the early 90s, they felt a little bit too defensive, where we needed some offensive creativity. And then I think maybe the closest you could look at was the 99, 97, 98, 99, 2000 Knicks with Spree, Camby, Larry Johnson, Allen Houston, Patrick at his older level. That seemed to be like a more closer balance in terms of grit, offense, defense, and so forth. But then I think you look at the 13 Knicks where we got Rasheed Wallace, Kurt Thomas, we got Camby back, J.R. Smith, Jason Kidd, Shumpert, J.R., and all them boys, Pablo Prigioni. That's where we started to balance it out. But obviously Stoudemire was injured and he wasn't playing as much. But I think this team, man, is as balanced as anyone else. Right. As any other team I've seen with the Knicks. As we see Diawara, man, pre-game, look at that beautiful shooting stroke with the 7'4" wingspan. To keep up this defense, and teams can only pray we miss our threes. Yeah, or the refs just decide to give us 3 fouls, man, early. They can change the game, man. That's what worries me probably the most, fam, which is out of our control. You know, the thing that worry me as we take a look over the last 60 days, those that missed it, the New York Knicks are second in the league in net rating over the last 60 days, coming in at second behind Charlotte and ahead of San Antonio, Detroit, OKC, Boston, and Cleveland. Being a two-way squad gives you the best chance at winning, man. You don't got to be over-reliant on your offense, and you shouldn't be too over-reliant on your defense. Because like I said, refs might call fouls on you. Right. I still don't believe that the refs are going to allow us to defend with the physicality that OKC and Detroit can defend with. You know why? Because they got the reputation. Knicks don't have that reputation yet, and the referees aren't going to allow that us to defend as physical as them. But what we can do is be disciplined. Guys like Alvarado, Deuce, Shamit, Cat, they're just going to be disciplined with their level of physicality, and and just I guess test the limit early in the game just to see how the refs are going to call it. But we all know, man, we're good for a screw job in terms of the referees and what they're going to do, especially against Oklahoma, man. That was sickening how lopsided that game was officiated. Our third string center is better than the Donnie Walsh starting 5, says Pete. Yeah, Donnie Walsh starting 5, man. Was it Ronnie Turiaf? Yeah, we had Ronnie. Then we under the other one we had under Phil Jackson we had Sam Dalembert. We're trying to get minutes out of Norvell Pell, Kenny Wooten. We're trying to find guys off the two-way. Dirty Dancers 94 and 97 were the 2 years I really believed. I'd throw this year out there too. Now for believing. Yeah, things got to break, right? I think definitely this year over the other years, the West is more open. 94, 97, 99, the West was just, you knew you were going to come up against a juggernaut. I know OKC is great, but they're beatable, especially with the team we have. I don't think they would qualify as like that juggernaut. Yeah, Pete, refs screwed us against OKC. The worrying thing was that was at Madison Square Garden, so how do we prepare for a game in Oklahoma? That's going to be interesting. I really hope Brunson's reputation around the league, which is they think it's flopping all the time, which is simply not true. Does he sell a couple of calls? Absolutely, but I don't think he's a flopper that people talk about when you compare him to Harden, Embiid, and Shea. But Cat's reputation as well. Cat does not have a good reputation around the league, referees, and that's obvious. So I can only hope that they just don't complain too much and that, yeah, we get a fair whistle. Because, guys like OG, he rarely complains. Mikal Bridges picked up a technical, but he doesn't really complain too much as well. So, yeah, Landry doesn't complain too, but he likes to play gritty and physical. Brown has to challenge earlier, says Pete. And Dirty also says Mike Brown needs to challenge the SGA fake fouls on kickoffs, especially. Now, yeah, to coincide, I will add this, man. Jordan Brink, I think the guy who was Thibodeau's video challenge coordinator, green light guy, I think he did an exceptional job. But Thibodeau was more open to checking quickly. So got to give Thibodeau his props for that one. He was elite at challenge call and being quick. Now, I believe Mike Brown will get better in the playoffs because every possession is going to be critical. One of the reasons why I believe Mike Brown's so laid back with the challenge calls in the regular season is he's clearly trying to send a message to the players that just play. I think in his heart, he believes we would have won some of these challenges, but I think he just didn't challenge out of spite because he's just like, you know what, it's a regular season game, just get on with it. Uh, but I do believe in the playoffs, Mike Brown is gonna have to be better, you know, because every possession is gonna matter. But these dicey challenges early in the game, like out of bounds and that, I don't think we should be wasting no challenges on that. You know, I don't care. Like if let's say if it's a close game heading into the fourth quarter, I want my challenges. Like there's no reason to be wasting a challenge early in a game if the game's still close in the first, second, third quarter. Uh, Ideally, you want to be going into the fourth quarter of a playoff game if the game's still close and you still have you still have both challenges because you know they're going to be on some BS. You know, in the last couple of minutes, foul, kick out, fingertip out of bounds, charge call go the wrong way. You know they're going to be on some BS, especially with the crowds getting into it on the road. So you're gonna need these challenge calls, you know. Um, and yeah, the Knicks record with Jay Acosta specifically, I don't know the records with all the referees, but that's been brought to my attention. The Knicks' poor record with Jay Acosta, especially at Madison Square Garden. We're above 500 in Madison Square Garden, but with Jay Acosta, we are well below 500 in terms of big games. Uh, Glenn says, "CT, do you know what them? Do you know what them winning the chip would do for this city? We are starved. It would be a joy and chaos. The fans deserve it. It's been 53 years. Please." We're close, you know, and I think we're the closest we're going to get. Um, and I think we stick together. I think continuity is key. Um, yeah, I think assembling the team of assistant coaches, Mike Brown leaning on those coaches, is going to get us to where we need to get to, you know. There's going to be some bumps along the way, you know, maybe some close losses. Guys are going to have to adjust, pick themselves up. But yeah, we can hang with any team, you know. We just got to stay disciplined. And we're going to use all 15 guys, you know. There might be a moment, even in any playoff game, there might be a single moment where a guy can change a game, man. And that's why I think we've used the regular season better than we did last season, man. Remember Deuce McBride's comments after we got eliminated against Indiana? It was a raw situation. It was in the locker room. Close loss, blowout loss, game 7 or game 6. Completely you know, despondent. And Deuce was like, you know what? I felt like regular season we left ourselves vulnerable. You know, we didn't experiment. We didn't try these things. We left it late to try Landry Shamet, DeLon Wright. If we'd just done that a little bit earlier, we would have won. And now we fast forward to now. Have we done that? Have we tried different things? I think we have. You know, we've got some extra ball handling now. We've tried some younger players that are playing now, got confidence. Um, I think we're more comfortable with how we can impact and win games, close out quarters. I think out of timeouts have got better. Brunson's bringing the ball up the court less now. You got Shamet, Hart, Alvarado, Sohan, Deuce McBride. Whoever grabs a rebound can push the ball up. I think, you know, the biggest thing in the playoffs, guys, is just about matchups. Like certain matchups are tough. Like Indiana's been a tough matchup for the Knicks the last 2 seasons because of the style and the coaching. Like, you know, if Indiana was coached by another team, we might have beat them. But Rick Carlisle knew our weaknesses, our strengths. You know, he knew how to coach his roster to get the best out of it, and it was a tough matchup. Is JB Bickerstaff good enough, like Rick Carlisle, if Detroit struggle? I think that's a major question mark. Uh, I think our personnel definitely good enough to beat Detroit, and also the coaching situation. I think Mike Brown can outcoach Bickerstaff on Detroit with the options and the weapons we have. Um, Now Boston, Cleveland might be a different situation. Those guys are good coaches as well. They can make adjustments. Joe Mazzulla, he's gonna want revenge. He's not gonna want to make the same mistake, shooting too many threes. The only thing that is now though, this Knicks team has less weaknesses. So I don't know what's Joe Mazzulla gonna do to pick apart our weakness. Uh, they're gonna try to look at Hacker Mitch still, probably try and do that. They'll probably try to rough up Cat again. They'll probably put Jaylen Brown on Cat, try to make him beat us. We've done that before. We've won. Cat's dominated Jaylen Brown. Um, so we'll see how it goes, man. But man, in terms of Mitchell Robinson, if they do Hacker Mitch, I want Mitchell Robinson preparing right now, man. He should be in that gym, man, shooting 100,000 free throws a day with the crowd, the noise on the speakers, amped up, and the pressure, because that Hacker Mitch thing, it's legit, man. They are going to go to it, I think, in my opinion, especially if Mitch is dominating a ball game. Those are the fine margins that can win and lose a playoff game. But yeah, adjustments are key, attacking their weaknesses. Buzzer says when we had King and Ewing, I thought we had a chance. Yeah, injuries, man, came back and hurt us. 97 suspensions. Um, and as the 99 season went along, man, I started to believe more and more. I know San Antonio were the favorites, but I just thought it was that fairy tale season where we were just going to keep going, man. But then Patrick got injured and, Larry had the shoulder. Camby was still young. Uh, but yeah, with Spreewell and Allen Houston, you just felt like we had a chance, man, in any game. Those guys could erupt for 35, any game. Um, and we were very unpredictable as well because we were just so athletic. Um, this season, right? We need more offense, obviously, out of OG, Mitch, Diawara, and Hart need to hit their threes, and then we're close to unbeatable, right? Uh, Delmar says for the first time in a long time, Knicks are playing like a brilliant team. Yep, I think this is as close. There's still a little bit more in terms of the Cat threes. Get Deuce McBride back, so we're not at 100% yet, but we're close. Johnny Chiba says, imagine if OG played like this every game, man. He would force the team to make him the number one option. I think attacking closeouts has always been key for OG, getting him into foul trouble. That's where we kind of let defenses off the hook. Notice in the most games, we were the ones always in foul trouble early. Well, the game changes so much in our favor if we get the other team in foul trouble. And we can only do that by moving the ball around. If it's just Brunson, dribble, 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 Cat, late shot clock, we ain't getting no bailout calls. We're not getting the other team into foul trouble. And that's why that Shea thing was so big and so profound. Because how many times to your memory can we remember a superstar on the other team in foul trouble? It rarely ever happens, where it's like game changing. Like it's like Brunson picking up his third foul in the first quarter. It rarely happens to the other team. But if OG's aggressive, everyone else is aggressive, the ball's moving quickly, and we're playing it at a good pace, the other team's going to rack up fouls. Yeah, the other team is going to rack up quick fouls too. Um, but yeah, one thing we can't account for is how they're going to officiate. The playoff games, man. They might switch it up. They might start the series, let it be physical, especially against Detroit. Against the Boston series, I could see them calling it tighter. Against the Cleveland series, I could see them calling that one tighter as well. Against Detroit, Philly, or Orlando, Miami, I could see them letting that one be physical as well. Dirty says, I was too young. Did Ewing and King actually play together? Felt like one or the other was always hurt. Yeah, correct. I think they played less than 10 games together, to my memory. But yeah, I was also too young for that one. I thought with the Ewing Starks is when I came closest, and I just felt like, yeah, we needed a great Ewing game, and we needed Starks to get hot. And when it happened, we won. And when Starks just was cold, we just didn't have enough, you know. Starks just couldn't get right at the right moment. The Wolf Perry says, anyone know if LeBron or Ayton are playing tomorrow? I would bet on LeBron playing. Ayton, I'm not sure about. Not sure about with that one, fam. But yeah, Pistons, Nets. Let me do a score check on that one, man. It should be a blowout. Oh, it's not. It's not a blowout. Okay, interesting. Right, so we're bringing you a live score update, fam, with 1 minute 44 to go. Pistons holding on to a 1-point lead over the Nets. This is a Pistons team that's starting to lose a little bit of confidence, right? They've lost to the Cavs. They've lost to Boston, and I think they lost to the Spurs recently. Philadelphia, man, what to make of Philadelphia? They're like the most quintessential fake contender pretender that I've ever seen. You just don't know what you're going to get. And they certainly can't win nothing without Embiid healthy, and Embiid's never going to be healthy. So, yeah, you already know how that's going to go. I could already see Charlotte upset Philadelphia, or they might even finish higher. We'll take a look at the standings, but the Hawks are kind of a fake team as well. They need to make a couple more moves. Orlando started to pick things up. They had a big win over the Timberwolves today. So we see the Knicks still holding on to that 3.5 game or 2.5 game cushion over the Cavaliers, with the tiebreaker included. I don't think the Raptors are going to catch the Cavaliers, so I think Cavaliers will stay in 4. So it looks like it's going to be a Cavaliers series with the Raptors. It'll be Cavaliers Sixers. It might be Cavaliers Magic. Yeah, Magic can still get into the 5th spot. The Heat equal as well with the Magic. So yeah, one of those teams, the Sixers, Raptors, Magic, or Heat, will end up facing the Cavaliers, in my opinion. The Raptors are just too far back, I think, to catch the Cavaliers. They're not playing consistent enough. Now the Hornets are currently in 10, but they're only 3.5 games away from 7. So have the Hornets left it a little bit too late to qualify for a playoff spot? I think so. I think there's just too many teams ahead of the Hornets. But I do think the Hornets are definitely going to get one of these higher play-in spots, maybe 7, 8, 9. I think they'll definitely finish ahead of the Hawks too. Yeah, those Ewings were lit. Buzzer said he had a pair of the blue and orange Ewing Adidas in school. Pistons are sitting Cade and others. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now, as the New Jersey Nets have taken the lead by 4. So yep, smart by the Pistons, letting they've basically secured the first spot. So yeah, they're letting those guys sit out these easier matchups. And look, the Nets are supposed to be tanking, so that ain't going to be good on their record. Picking up this win. Kodeska says Knicks Sixers, Knicks and 6. So yeah, let's take a look at who the Knicks are most likely going to get. If the playoffs start today, it would be Sixers, but I don't know if they're going to hold on to that spot. Me personally, I hope the Raptors slide. If the Raptors can slide down one more spot, perfect. Knicks Raptors series, I think that has a real chance to end in a gentleman's sweep, a sweep or gentleman's sweep with the Raptors Knicks, and less physicality, less wear and tear on the Knicks, and that's going to be great for the second round. If it's Knicks Sixers, I think that could be a physical series still, and that could go 6 potentially. Knicks Magic is going to be really physical, especially if Franz Wagner, Paolo, and Jalen Suggs are all healthy. So I would prefer to avoid the Magic, the Heat. Knicks Hawks, sign me up. Knicks Hornet, sign me up. Knicks Raptors, sign me up. And Knicks Sixers, sign me up. But Knicks Magic, Knicks Heat, I think the Knicks still win, but I think that's going to be a very physical series. But you know what? We're just going to have to navigate. We've got the squad. We're going to have to play depth. And Mike Brown, man, earned himself a game ball. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, guys. Let's get to 53, 55 wins and play some more of the situational guys. Keep guys fresh now, but keep them in rhythm. And let's keep going, fam. So yeah, post game tomorrow, LA, and then the Clippers back to back. New York Knicks now 41-23, playing the best ball on the season and the best win, most dominant win, and the way they're looking since the Leon Rose era, right? So it's been a big tick in terms of the plan. Mike Brown coming in, the roster moves picked up at the trade deadline. Jose Modi from the NBA draft, fam, and yet skies are orange and blue right now, and things are looking up. We'll see you post game, man, tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. Peace.